Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. American Pickers Frank Fritz filed will in court 1 year before death, and his plans for $6 million fortune were approved. On October 23, 2023, Frank's lawyer filed a will prior to death to safekeep the document. The U.S. Sun can exclusively reveal a certificate was issued for approval of the will on October 18, 2024, weeks after Frank's death. Midwestone, who is Frank's conservator, is the executor of the will. The will and all filings are sealed. Frank is estimated to have a net worth of $6 million. Frank suffered the stroke at his Iowa farmhouse in July 2022. The U.S. Sun broke in August 2022 that loved ones filed a conservatorship and guardianship on behalf of Frank. His friend Chris Davis is the guardian, while Midwestone Bank is the conservator. The documents obtained by the U.S. Sun read, because of his stroke, Mr. Fritz's decision-making capacity is so impaired that he is unable to care for his own safety, or to provide for necessities such as food, shelter, clothing, or medical care, without which physical injury or illness may occur. Frank was also unable to make, communicate, or carry out important decisions concerning his own financial affairs. An exhibit was filed in the court papers from a doctor, claiming Frank does not have decisional capacity. The legal papers continued, decisions must be made for Mr. Fritz's care and placement while he continues to recover and receive treatment for his injuries. Appointment of a guardian and conservator is necessary to avoid immediate harm to him. The conservatorship papers also revealed plans for his Savannah, Illinois store Frank Fritz finds. The initial plan filed by Midwestone Bank read, Mr. Fritz is a well-known collector and has numerous outbuildings full of valuable collections. The conservator has not yet inventoried those items, but plans to leave them largely as they are now, with the exception of stocking Mr. Fritz's antique store in Savannah, IL as needed. Conservator is hopeful Frank will be able to participate in selection and pricing of items as he did previously. The documents revealed Frank's annual income of $60,000 from investments, per his 2021 tax return. Frank was unemployed at the time of his stroke and had no debt listed. Frank's longtime friend Jerry Gendreau previously told the U.S. Sun that they will have an auction for his antiques. That's what I would do because of his fan base. I think he'll do really, really well with an auction. In 2021, the U.S. Sun photographed Frank at his $155,000 Iowa farmhouse in Davenport, Iowa. In one of Frank's outhouses on the property, he showed off rows of motorcycles from his collection. Jerry previously told the U.S. Sun some of the bikes will be displayed at the store, which is located in the back room of his bar, Hog Dogs. Jerry told the U.S. Sun in October, "We have been an antique store for 35 years. Will probably continue to be that. We may display motorcycles and choppers that represent Frank. Right now it's set up as an 1880s general store. Maybe there'll be bikes on a rack all the way down the center." Frank was a fan favorite on the show from 2010 to 2020. He left American Pickers in 2020 to undergo back surgery. He never returned and was officially let go in 2021. Mike's brother Robbie replaced Frank on the show, while Jersey John Chalet later became a full-time cast member. Frank revealed his feud with co-star Mike during an interview with the U.S. Sun in 2021. Mike, 60, and Frank made up during his health issues when they reunited over Memorial Day weekend of 2023. Mike and loved ones were by his side in hospice when he passed. Jerry previously gave insight into Frank's health struggles in the months before his passing. He felt really, really bad, he told the U.S. Sun. You would go to see him in the nursing home and one half of his body was completely done. He would lift his arm up and it would just drop. That's got to be tough to be totally bedridden. Jerry said Frank grew frustrated because he couldn't come out and say what he wanted to say, though some days were much, much better than others. I've seen this when people get tired, they get tired. I think if you don't have the will to live you won't, Jerry said. I think Frank could have lived a lot longer if the will to live would have been there. In the buzzing world of Americana collectors, pickers, and treasure hunters, few names carried as much charm and warmth as Frank Fritz's. Frank was more than just a co-host on American Pickers. He was the heart and soul of many treasure hunts, a man whose eyes lit up at the sight of an antique sign, rusted toy car, or dusty motorcycle part. Known for his infectious laugh and easygoing manner, Frank built his life around the thrill of discovery. But while fans followed him through barns and attics, picking through history's forgotten corners, few realized that Frank was also carefully planning his legacy. 1 year before his passing, Frank surprised those closest to him when he filed a detailed will with the court. It wasn't just a document, it was a map of how he wanted to leave his mark on the world, reflecting not only his love for the antiques that brought him fame, but also his gratitude for the people who had stood by him. At the center of Frank's plan was a carefully considered allocation of his estimated $6 million fortune, a decision he made with a mix of sentimentality, practicality, and foresight. For Frank, it was never about the money. The fortune he accumulated came as much from his television career as from his own picking endeavors. Yet when he put pen to paper, deciding what to do with his wealth, Frank knew he wanted it to do more than gather dust or be sold off. He wanted it to make a difference. The first thing he outlined in his will was a bequest to his closest friends and family, the people who had seen him through his highs and lows, even when the cameras weren't rolling. At the top of this list was Mike Wolfe, Frank's longtime co-host on American Pickers and at one time his best friend. Their on-screen chemistry made viewers feel like they were just two guys having the time of their lives, despite the ups and downs in their relationship in recent years. To Mike, Frank left a symbolic piece of his collection, a vintage motorcycle from one of their earliest picks together. Frank hoped that this bike would serve as a reminder of their friendship and the memories they shared chasing rusty treasures across America. But Frank's generosity didn't stop with his friends. In a heartfelt gesture, he set aside a considerable portion of his estate for his community. Frank was passionate about giving back, and his will included provisions to support a local museum dedicated to preserving American antiques. He had always felt that these objects had stories to tell, histories embedded in their worn surfaces, and he wanted to ensure they would continue to be shared with future generations. His donation would help fund exhibits and restoration projects, giving people from all walks of life the chance to see history through the lens of someone who saw beauty in the forgotten and the discarded. His next act of kindness was perhaps the most telling of Frank's character. Despite the public controversies and personal challenges he faced in recent years, he held no grudges. With this in mind, Frank included a charitable foundation in his will that he had spent the last year quietly establishing. The foundation's mission was to support individuals in recovery from addiction and mental health struggles. Frank's battles had been difficult, but he wanted to help others find the strength and resources they needed. He knew the journey was challenging, and he hoped his foundation would offer a ray of hope to those navigating similar paths. As Frank's attorney reviewed the intricacies of the will, it became clear that he had left nothing to chance. Even his cherished cat, Frankie, had a place in his plans. Frank adored his cat, often joking that Frankie was the only one who understood him during his solitary days. In his will, Frank allocated a generous sum to ensure that Frankie would live a comfortable life with one of his oldest friends, a fellow picker who shared his love for antiques and animals alike. What touched everyone most deeply was the part of the will that was left unspoken, only hinted at in a handwritten note tucked alongside the official documents. In it, Frank thanked his fans, those who had followed his journey from the beginning, who cheered him on as he unearthed hidden treasures and shared his excitement with millions. To his fans, he left not money, but a message. Keep looking, keep picking, and remember that history is out there waiting for you to find it. One stipulation in the will surprised even those who knew Frank best. In a nod to the independent spirit of picking, he requested that a part of his fortune be invested in a series of annual grants for aspiring treasure hunters. He wanted to support young pickers, those just starting out, whose love for the hunt might lead them to dusty barns and cluttered garages. Each grant would fund these emerging pickers' explorations, allowing them to take the trips and the risks he had cherished so much in his life.